Alright, so now that I've established my hole and where I'm going to go with it, I went ahead and marked it out with a marker. That way you guys can kind of see exactly what I'm doing here. My line actually sits right outside. What I did is I just took this tap, this takeoff that I was going to put on, I just put it right over the hole and ran my marker right down there on the inside to where you can actually see it. But really, my hole's a little bit wider than what that is because of allowances. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and get started on cutting this hole. Now, the smaller, the harder. If you watch my how to use tin snips instructional video, you'll have a better understanding on how tin snips work. So go ahead and refer to that video first if you're not familiar with how to use tin snips. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start giving myself a little bit of a curly cue. I'm going to just keep going around. And as I discussed in the how to use tin snips videos, I start bending my waist up. And I'm going to really just start going around and around until I get at least close to where my line is. Now reds, they're made to come around to where the waist is dropping on the right. Greens are made to do the complete opposite. They're going to drop your waist off to the right hand side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that you can use either one in order to establish what you're trying to do. Now as you can see, my reds, I was going around in a counterclockwise way, which waist is dropping on the left. With my greens, they're doing the opposite. They're cutting around to the right hand side where it's dropping. So as you can see that, sometimes you'll be in tough positions, maybe in the air or on a ladder, to where it's difficult to use one or the other. So as long as you have the knowledge of the tool, you'll definitely be able to accomplish what you're trying to get. Sometimes you'll have this to where this is right next to a stud. Somebody wanted to add a hole in here, and say this hole was a little bit over here. Well, you can still accomplish what you're trying to get to without having to be right here where that stud or where that wall is. So you can just go ahead and work one way to where your right hand snips are getting close to where that wall is, and say boom, that's really where I have to stop, right? I'm going to be hitting a wall if they're over there. So I can go ahead and take my greens and come back the other way. I got a nice line to go by, nice guidance. So I'm going to just come back the other way, and I'm going to use my snips to go ahead and finish out the cut here, right to the end. You don't want to do a couple things what I just did, really, and that's to come down all the way in your snips. That leaves a burr on the edge of the metal that really is toxic. By toxic, I mean that you will end up running your finger around the edge when you're putting in the collar or something like that, and you'll catch your finger on that fish hook, and it's a stinger. It hurts worse than the big cuts, really. So I'm going to go ahead and finish out here, and that's pretty much how you do it. You just keep running your snips, make sure your drop's dropping off to the correct side, and you'll have yourself a nice round hole in a piece of rectangular or piece of metal that you can go ahead and drop your takeoff on, whatever type that you're using. And as you can see, if we were to take that off, screw it in, it's all the way through there. It's exactly what you want right there. Go ahead and feel free to question, comment, any tips that you guys know. Always open to suggestions, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.